Well, hello there, wiggers and niggers. It's it's one of our talks again. They're becoming too infrequent. But you know, thanks to Joe Biden, I gotta work 2 jobs, so... Damn, niggas, I don't have time for this shit no more. I do have to get my, my podcast going, Nigga Please. So we'll get that going soon. It'll be on Spotify, niggas. So, anyway, I'm growing out the winter dew, as you can see. I'm just letting it grow without a fucking care. Because that's how you niggas do. But today, I'm talking about, you know, I've heard stuff in the news about Elon Musk and all this shit, and President Trump about these F1 visas. Well, look. Where do I stand on these F1 visas? I am for them, but they need to be cleaned up. What I mean by that is, if we're bringing in the next Einstein and stuff, it's well worth it to have these people come to America. But what's not good is when they replace American jobs and do it cheaper. This is what I don't... It brings down living for everybody, the standard of living for everybody. So, if we need to bring in the next Einstein to give us the next great invention, and he's living in some mud hut in India, okay, let him in. That's what I'm saying about, you know, immigration. If they come here naturally, and correctly, then yeah, and especially if they have something to contribute. But even if they're just a hard worker and they come here naturally, that's fine too. But, you know, it's different from, you know, some anchor baby shit. That's gotta go. Immigration has to be fixed. If I was Trump, I would close the border to everybody. Everybody. Illegal, not illegal, on day 1. Until this shit gets taken care of. As far as F1 visas, I would allow them to go, but I would go through them like with a fine-tooth fucking comb and revamp that whole system. So that we bring in the best and brightest from everywhere. India, Pakistan, fucking Great Britain. So long as they're vetted properly and they have something to contribute, I ain't got a problem with that. But don't bring them here to replace, you know, Joe Blow over there, who's worked hard his whole life, worked his way up, and then he has to train his fucking replacement, you know, me here, or something, to take his fucking job, you know, at 10%, 20% less. See, the problem with these people in these countries, they're used to living in the dirt, some of them. So when they get 20% less than an average American or whatever, they still think that's a gold mine. And it just lowers the standards for everybody. The prices of shit don't drop. And now Joe Blow just lost his job. So that's... I'm not for that. I am for the F1 visa shit, so long as it's done properly. And it needs to be revamped. And that's where I am at that. On that subject. And also, we wouldn't need... Well, we'd always have a need for it, but we'd need F1 visas a lot less if we taught this shit in school. Instead of brainwashing kids, this is why we need it so fucking bad. Do you think over in India, somebody's getting a degree in gender studies? Only when a country gets so rich and so prosperous do we give bullshit degrees. That's how you know you're too rich and too prosperous. When you start bullshitting with stuff like that. We need more science. We need more mathematics. Things like this. And don't get me wrong, not everybody's great at it, but we need to gear these kids towards having the option instead of women's equality studies. Where the fuck are they going to get a job in that? And then they're going to grow up saying the state owes them something and they can't pay it off. Well, no shit, because you can't get a job. You wind up a cashier at Walmart with your gender studies. Gender is not a study. Gender should not be a fucking study. There's 2 genders. There's your study. Done. You're born a gender. One or the other. That's your study, stupid. There is no gender study. Okay, the mere fact that these colleges are given degrees in this shit, if they have one course in this shit, or even African American studies, if you can major in that shit, no funding for those schools. No funding. If they take 1 penny of government funding, Done. No funding. You cannot get a job, and I don't want to hear the blacks cry, "Oh, it's not fair." You can't get a job in it, asshole. If you want to take a side course, but they should not have majors in gender studies, women's studies, fucking African American studies. You shouldn't have majors in these things. Things you can't get jobs in, you should not have majors in. Period. Period. You shouldn't have majors in them. It's a fucking joke. This is why we need the F1 visa even more and more. Because our students are getting dumber and dumber. I talked to some of these kids in my other job that I work at. A lot of young kids. Boy, they're fucking stupid as shit. They are dumb as a fucking stone. I have never seen kids this fucking dumb. They are fucking retards. And this is why. Because they think this shit's okay. One, they think it's okay. Two, it's offered. That shit needs to stop. We wouldn't need F1 visas. Hardly. Hardly. It's still good to look for good talent, don't get me wrong, but we wouldn't need them like we do now if we taught our students this shit. Do you think in China you can get a degree in gender studies? That's why they're going to kick our ass very shortly. Because we're giving degrees in gender studies with kids with purple hair. They're come out dumb as a rock. They don't know jack shit. The Chinese kids, they don't do that. Let me tell you right now. And they're going to kick the shit out of us. And rightfully so. They should be kicking the shit out of us. So that's where I stand with this gender studies crap. Or this F1 visa shit. Yeah, I'm for it. As long as it's used the right way. It's going to have to be reformed, though. I don't want it to replace American workers at a cheaper rate. I want it to bring in talent that we're lacking. There's a difference there. So long as they do that, I don't have a problem with it, but it's going to take reform. I think Trump will reform it. He's already talked about that. I think he will, but everybody wants something to happen on day one. Not everything you want is going to happen on day one, people. It's going to take a long time to unfuck this country. Let's face it. Okay? But until then, remember, it's cheaper to shoot than to let them loot. Remember that, niggas. Adios. Good day.